Hi, Paul Gorney from Luxury Living in Chicago. We're going to look at the best places to live on Chicago's North Shore, which is just north of the city along the lakefront. Some of the most highly ranked places to live in the Chicago area by niche.com to raise a family, some of the most highly rated schools. The entire area is just very solid educationally, highly ranked, and a lot of great options. So just call, text, email, reach out with any questions or help that you need. I've been here for over 30 years, helping thousands of people, relocate, figure out these areas. So just reach out anytime. So Chicago's North Shore spans all along the lakefront, all the way up, almost to Wisconsin, but not quite. So you have Evanston, Wilmette, Winnetka, Glencoe, Northfield, Highland Park, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff. You can include Glenview into that. There's quite a few areas. So when people, I just had a client come, and they come from a foreign country, and they were trying to figure out the area. And, it's very daunting, really, if you're, not even from the area at all and from a foreign country. So schools are usually a pretty big hot button for people coming in that have families. So that was number one that they had to figure out. But what they found is that the consistency of the schools is just excellent. I mean, the whole area has many, many examples of very highly ranked schools, private and public. So, there's a few spots, a few neighborhoods, a few sections within a couple of the suburbs that the schools are ranked lower, but it's very minimal, and I help kind of guide them to understand that. So they figured that out, and what it did was it opened up everything to them. They could go, they were a location for a job. They were pretty flexible with the work situation, so it didn't really matter that they had to be the closest suburb on the North Shore to the city. So because of the school situation, they got to go a little bit further north, up in the, towards Wisconsin, but not that far, but in that direction. And they were able to get a great value that they were comfortable with. More land, more updated house, really worked out well for them. But the schools for them were the big driver. So when you're moving to the North Shore of Chicago, you don't really have to worry about low rankings in the schools. The vast majority are highly ranked. Then you get into, prices, housing stock, proximity to the lake. If someone wants to be close to the lake, in all the suburbs along the lakefront, it's more expensive to live the closer you live to the lake. You can get smaller homes. You have to make sacrifices sometimes depending on what price range you're in. But the homes do get smaller, need more work, or just older. You get an older home with old windows compared to, a home that's further west away from the lake and getting new windows, updated kitchen, high ceilings for a more modern home. So there can be big differences. But when you're looking at the North Shore, another client just had the situation coming from the city. They didn't want to be that far from the city. They're having a hard time leaving. And you have Evanston and Wilmette are the two that people like typically the most to be close to the city. Big attraction. Train gets in quickly. You're close to the lake. Evanston has a lot of urban amenities like downtown area that feels like the city. These are kind of hot buttons for people like these clients who decided they'll go to the burbs, but they don't want to be too far. They want to be able to get into the city. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for. Additionally, the ones in the middle, like you have, I'd say in the middle of the North Shore would be more like Glencoe. There's some great values on the homes. You're another few minutes north away from the city, but great values in comparison to like a Winnetka, which is closer in. So a lot of things to consider. Can get a little bit confusing. Definitely depending on what's best for you with schools, family situation, where you're going to work. If you want to get into the city, it'll be a big difference in where you live. The restaurants are kind of booming in Wilmette, and Winnetka kind of has a resurgence of new restaurants now. If you go out to Glenview, then you're really talking some serious retail restaurants. Like the quantity is very impressive, but it's a bigger suburb, about 5-10 minutes away from the other suburbs. So a lot of things to consider on Chicago's North Shore. As far as the best place to live, obviously that depends on what you want, but hopefully a couple of these client examples will give you a good idea. But I will say, once you get into the area you want, there are so many nuances of, I've seen people, not a client of mine, but I saw some person buy on the other side of a particular road, and the private school, everyone lived on the other side of that road. So, that was like a $1.7 million house, and they ended up selling it about a year and a half later because they were really, disappointed that they weren't really in the community of the school they were going to, because they moved on the other side of that road, which they didn't understand coming from the city. So there's a lot of blind spots, things to look out for on the North Shore. You really need to understand how things work, the nuances of the neighborhoods, and the social, the kind of where your children would bike ride, the main thoroughfares where the crossing guards are. All these little things become very, very important very quickly. So just reach out if you have any questions, text, call, email. The North Shore is a tremendous place to live for many people. Some of the most highly ranked places to raise a family in Illinois by niche.com, and a lot of great situations for enjoyment with the lakefront too.